Can you believe that over the past 6 years I have read and talked about on this channel 650 books? And I realized this the other day, that it was my 6-year anniversary of making videos about books here on YouTube. So I thought it'd be fun to go through and tally up how many books have I actually read and talked about on this channel. And yeah, it came out as this very even number of 650. Which, yeah, just looking at that number, it's like, wow, when did I get the time to read and talk about all of these books? But I did, because, I'm addicted to reading, in case you haven't noticed. And so, yeah, it is my 6-year anniversary. So I thought it would be fun to make a video kind of taking stock of my channel and where my channel is going and the kinds of videos I make, because often I'll just make videos week to week of what I'm most interested in talking about, whether it's to do with the reading life or what I'm reading at that particular time, or some book prize that's going on at that time. But yeah, I think it's good to every once in a while, check in, because I'd love to know from you if you have any particular favorite videos that I make that you would like me to make more of, or if there's a particular subject that you would like me to make a video discussing, to do with the reading life or certain kinds of books or any of that stuff. It's fun and good to get suggestions from you about that, because I always, part of like the absolute joy and wonderful part of the reading process is discussing books on here and getting comments back of hearing what other people think about these books, whether they've read them then, or if they go and read them and come back and find my videos and then discuss them with me, even if it's been years since I've read that book. It's so wonderful getting a comment on a book that I read a number of years ago, and then to suddenly be discussing again with someone who's just read it and it's fresh in their mind, and then it brings the whole experience of reading that book back to me. I think that's such a joyful part of the process of having all this interaction about books online, and it's one of the big reasons that I do this and have this channel. And so I thought it would also be fun, because last year on my 5-year anniversary I looked back on some of my favorite books from the past 5 years. I thought it would be fun to, for this anniversary, as another quite self-indulgent exercise of looking back on some of my favorite videos that I've made over the past 6 years, but also as a way of talking about what kinds of videos I'm making on my channel and what kinds of videos I might make in the future. And of course, for any content creator that's been working and making content for a while, it's always slightly cringeworthy to go back and look at early videos and early material when I'm just kind of stumbling around and not really understanding what I'm doing, but just going ahead in this kind of cavalier way. So you can enjoy my awkwardness of looking at some of my early videos, but then also want to talk about some of my favorite videos that I've made. So let's look through some of these videos. I've made a cup of tea with my Golden Girls mug here, and let's have a look. So let's go way back to 2016, when I started properly making videos about books here on YouTube. And one of my first videos I made was a reading wrap-up video in June of 2016. Everyone, I'm planning on doing a monthly video where I wrap up everything that I've read over the past month. This is something a lot of booktubers do, and because on my blog lonesomereader.com I tend to do quite long, in-depth reviews of everything I read. So this will just give you a brief summary of what the book is about and snippets of what I think about it, or what I thought was best about it, or what I thought was worst about it. And what I immediately notice on this video is that I'm filming on my computer rather than my phone. I had this weird idea early on that I didn't really understand that the camera on my computer was worse quality than the camera on my phone. And of course, as phones have got better over the years, the videos on phones have got better as well. But yeah, and I also didn't understand how to transfer videos from my phone to my computer, which sounds like a very obvious thing to do, but I'd just never done before, so didn't really understand about that. And also you can hear how like stiff and monotone my voice is in this video, because I still had that idea early on of like, I am recording a review of this book that I just read. And so yeah, I think I've definitely got a bit more relaxed over the years about talking to camera, because part of it is that just in making videos, it's quite a weird thing just talking to a camera and talking to yourself in this way, and so it takes a while to get used to that, I think. But also I'm not somebody that naturally talks quite a lot, and so you know, when I'm with groups of people, I'm generally the one just sitting there listening and responding to what people are saying, and so to be the one that's initiating the conversation because I'm the only one here is quite a change from what I'm used to, and also of course, looking back on any video or picture from a number of years ago, yeah, I looked a bit younger, and particularly for me, you know, there was less white in my beard at that time, so I'm slightly conscious of that aging process that's been occurring over time, but also the setting of where I'm talking about all of these books. It's in my old apartment, and in my old like little library that I had. There was a room at the back of the apartment which I just made into my kind of like book cave, where I had books surrounding me on these shelves which I had installed all around, and had this really comfy couch that I would lie on and read all the time. So I do sort of miss that, although obviously I have my wonderful book cave here as well, of a very tall bookshelf that's right behind me here. So the next video I want to look at is the video I made about the Man Booker Prize in 2016, about my shortlist predictions for that, and that's when it was still called the Man Booker Prize rather than just the plain old Booker Prize. Hi everyone, I'm Eric from the book blog lonesomereader.com, and in a few days' time, on September 13th, the shortlist for the Man Booker Prize 2016 is going to be announced. So I'm going to throw my guesses out there about which 6 books from the long list I think are going to make the shortlist. I'm really excited to see what books make it to the top this year, because last year I absolutely loved Marlon James' novel, A Brief History of 7 Killings. Yeah, I'd been following the Booker Prize for many years, and but in quite a casual way. You know, I would read like some of the books on the long list, but probably not all of the books, and I would probably get around to reading the winner at some point, but I didn't read the winner every single year. And it was only when I started making videos on this channel that I started following it much more assiduously, because I realized there were other people out there that were also interested in following when the long lists and short lists of book prizes come out, and discussing that whole process. And you know, it's sort of like following like a sports team and their progress for that year, and then you debate and talk about what you think is gonna win that year, and you can talk about the various qualities or deficits of different books, and yeah, and that's been such a joyful process about making videos on this channel and joining in all that chatter. And it's definitely made me follow book prizes like a lot more closely, like the whole process of it, because you know, it does make it this fun communal activity, you know, rather than just following it on my own and reading all the books that are listed, which of course I still enjoy doing, and it's still like a wonderful thing to do, but you know, it just kind of adds to the fun a bit more. Although I do find that in following certain prizes like the Booker Prize, it's adds this almost pressure to it, where I feel like I have to make videos like responding to the lists and following the prize every year, because I know some people have come to expect me to make videos about the lists for the Booker Prize every year, and it's a wonderful thing to. I've had a number of comments of people saying, you know, when the Booker Prize list is announced, they immediately go to my channel to see what I say about the books, which is such a wonderful compliment, and that's really lovely. But at the same time, it makes me feel this pressure, like, oh, if I don't do it, then people will be disappointed, which is a bit silly. Obviously, I should just follow it if I want to. And I've been toying with the idea of, like, maybe I won't even follow the Booker Prize this year, because it is a really big time commitment, and I do worry sometimes, like, is my reading being too, like, prejudiced towards prize-winning books rather than looking for other books that I'm, more immediately, naturally drawn to reading, and then maybe discovering some books that aren't being talked about as much and don't have the privilege of being up for a book prize, because obviously so many wonderful, wonderful books are published every single year, but don't necessarily get any prize attention, and so kind of fall under the radar like that. And so I do have this debate with myself, like, oh, do I have to keep following the prize, or can I just have a season where I stay back and maybe just, like, follow it casually, but not try to read all of the books on the list. And of course, I don't think I feel like I have to read all the books. And if I start reading a book on the list and I don't enjoy it, I'm just going to put it aside and say, this really isn't for me. But I have made some wonderful discoveries through following book prizes. So there's positive and negatives to all of it, and I'm just debating with myself now. So then there's the video of my first video that I made with Anna talking about the Bailey's Prize shortlist, which was back when it was called the Bailey's Prize. And I think we had made a video before that for Anna's YouTube channel talking about the prize, but we hadn't made one on my channel yet. I don't know. Hi everyone, I'm Eric from Lonesome Reader, and I'm here with my wonderful friend Anna.
I am Anna, or sometimes known as Case for Books, and I am a freelance books journalist and a children's book writer as well.
You do lots of things, yeah.
Lots of booky things.
I'm sure lots of you watch her channel. If you don't already, I'll put a link down below. So be sure to subscribe to her channel, because she does lots of interesting and really creative book videos. And hopefully you'll have seen Anna posted on her channel our long list predictions for the Bailey's Prize. And so today we're here to talk about our shortlist predictions, or our shortlist wish list,
somewhere
or
in between.
Something where we're just here to talk about, like, novels written by great women. So that's the main thing that we want to do.
Neither of us have read all of them, so it's sort of somewhere in between.
Yeah, we have to say we're not authorities about these books. And again, we're back at my old apartment, and we're in that space. And and I think I had a weird thing on that particular day of filming, that I didn't realize exactly, like, where the camera was, where I should be looking, because I was kind of looking kind of off to the side in another direction, and also I think in these, like, early videos I didn't look at the camera so much. I found that slightly too intense, so my gaze would be, like, looking off to the side while mumbling and talking about books. But also this video is under half an hour, which at the time that felt like a huge amount of time to have a video, like, really long video, but then compare that to some of my recent videos with Anna, where we'll talk on for an hour and a half. And it's one of the magical things about having this, like, friendship with Anna, and I feel so lucky to have it and to have met her and to continue to be friends with her, because whenever we meet up with each other, we'll just talk about books like this and what we've been reading, what we're looking forward to reading, and all of that stuff. We can just, like, talk endlessly about this, and we just have this wonderful instant rapport, which is so enlightening and comforting, and just it's just a lovely friendship, and I feel so lucky to be friends with Anna in that way, and to be able to talk about books like this. And we're going to be making another video very soon talking about our predictions for the winner for this year's Women's Prize for Fiction, so watch out for that. And then there's a video where I followed BookTubeAthon for the very first time, and this was a bit later in 2018 when I made a TBR pile. I sort of joined in. One of the prompts that year was to wear a special hat while reading books, and I never actually did that while I was reading any of these books on the for the list that year. This is a fashion crisis, because What do I wear? Recently, I went to see the amazing documentary McQueen, all about the brilliant, prolific, tragic designer Alexander McQueen. I really recommend that you watch this documentary. And so I went to my hat collection in my room designated for hats, because obviously I have a whole room designated for my hat collection, and tried to decide what McQueen hat should I wear? What piece should I wear? Should I pick the beehive veil hat from his spring 2013 collection as a way of representing all the thoughts buzzing inside my head while I'm reading? Or do I pick two hats, like the bowler hat and beanie hat combination from the autumn-winter 2009 collection? Or do I wear one of Philip Tracy's avant-garde headpieces, like this one from 1999, where it looks like I would just be channeling all of the wisdom of the heavens and the gods directly into my head?
It was fun in that video, being a bit silly of talking about the kinds of hats I might want to wear while reading some of these books in my TBR pile, and I think that was especially a turning point where I started to feel like I could be a bit more casual about talking about books, because before then, I'd said, I had this sense that I'm talking about books, I need to be really serious and stiff and formal, and I am giving a book review rather than just having a bit more fun with it. And I remember somebody commented, I don't know if it was on this video or a video around that time, where they said, I like how you're not afraid to be silly in your videos anymore, because I think before then I had this almost fear of kind of letting go and losing that kind of formal side to it, because I do take the books I read really seriously. I mean, it means so much to me what I read, but at the same time, it doesn't need to be that serious. This isn't like a university course. This is just reading for fun, and I do all of this just for fun. So it doesn't need to be this big formal thing. So I did see that as kind of a turning point where, because I think following a readathon, there was this more casual side to it, and it didn't feel quite so formal. So I could, kind of let loose. And another thing that I found a creative part of the process of making videos was to do a single review video while also demonstrating a recipe, because I do like to do a lot of baking and cooking, and so when I read the novel Ducks Newburyport and made a single review video talking about it, where I talked about the book for quite a long time, but then also demonstrated my cinnamon roll recipe.
So I've finally done it. I've finished reading this great big mother quacker, Lucy Ellmann's 1,000 plus page novel Ducks Newburyport. The fact that the cat kibble we've got is American. But anyway, Jake now eats nothing but SpaghettiOs. Damsons you have to leave unstoned. And I don't know what to do about it. This SpaghettiO fixation of his, the fact that I have not read all the books I want to read, not even half, the fact that it doesn't take all that long to read a book, so I don't know why I don't. Except that the kids always interrupt if I try to read anything. The fact that even the cats interrupt. The fact that the last thing I read was about how noble all the Amish were about the nickel mines massacre. The fact that that horror really was unfair. The fact that those children were not just maimed and killed, but frightened out of their wits. The fact that I just spent a few hours baking cinnamon rolls. The fact that baking cinnamon rolls from scratch isn't as easy as it seems. Scratch that itch. Match. Catch. How to Catch a Thief. Cary Grant and Grace Kelly. Grace Kelly, Harlow Jean, picture of a beauty queen. The fact that you can't eat cinnamon rolls and stay as thin as Grace Kelly. The fact that baking means that you have fatty foods lying around the house. The fact that I don't care, and I'm gonna eat a cinnamon roll anyway because it smells so gosh darn good.
While I was
giving the recipe and demonstrating it was reading a passage aloud from the novel to give a sense of the book. And then at the very end, I wrote my own section, a kind of play on the kind of style of Duck's Newburyport, because it's so impossible not to imitate the style because it has a very particular rhythm and style of writing, to imitate that and give my own version of that. And I just found that really fun to do, and it's something I'd like to do a lot more of. And I think it's part of the wonderful creative process of making videos, that it doesn't need to be just me here sat in a library talking about what I've read, but I can add some more images and footage and combine it with other things, like making a recipe related to that book, to talk about the process. And I'd like to do more of that, but it is quite a time-consuming thing to do. And as with all of this, I mean, I have a huge list of videos that I would like to make in the future, but it would take a lot of time to do that. And I, like I said, just do all of this for fun. And so I don't know if I'll ever get around to making all the videos that I want to do. But also, there was another single review video I did of the novel Soviet Milk, which is a Latvian novel by Nora Extena, which I love to and connected to so much because I have some Latvian heritage. And so I combined my review video of this with making my recipe for pigs or bacon and onion rolls that a relative of mine had taught me. And I want to talk today about a new Latvian novel that I read recently, but I also thought I want to try something different as well. Since in my last video I talked about a part of my family history, I thought this is the perfect opportunity to talk about another side of my family's history. That is the side of my family that is Latvian. And so my Aunt Millie used to use a little pastry brush that she would brush over the rolls. And I can't really be bothered to do this, so I just get a bowl with a beaten egg, and I dip the roll into the beaten egg. Let me know if you get a chance to try making this recipe and how they come out for you. Also, let me know if you've read Soviet Milk and what you think of it. So that was such a wonderful thing to do. And another absolutely wonderful thing that resulted from making that video was that people from the Latvian Cultural Bureau had seen that video and then contacted me and asked me if I wanted to interview the author Nora Extena, which I did at Westminster Library in London, which was wonderful. But then after that, they said, oh, do you want to come to Latvia? Do you want to visit Riga and learn about Latvian literature a bit more? And what an amazing opportunity. And so that was so fantastic, because I'd never been to Latvia before. So yeah, I was so glad to go there and then to make a whole vlog of that process. So it's recorded my time there. And it was so fascinating learning about the culture and the literature and seeing the amazing, absolutely beautiful National Library in Riga, which is so gorgeous. And I'd really like to go again someday, because it's a really lovely city and a beautiful country. And so that was a really wonderful thing. Another really precious memory I have now, and an amazing opportunity that's resulted from having this channel, which I didn't expect when starting the channel, was to be able to interview some authors. And the realization I had when the pandemic first started happening and the opportunity arose that, I can interview authors over Zoom and have chats with them and discuss their books with them, because I'm somebody that has always loved going to author readings and hearing authors speak about their own books. And at the end, for quite a while, I would be the first one with my hand up at the end saying I have a question for the author, which I'd thought about endlessly before going to see that author, if they were an author I loved, or if I was really passionate about their book, in this kind of geeky way. But now I have the opportunity to do a full interview with the author, and so it was an amazing opportunity to be able to interview my favorite author, Joyce Carol Oates, and to interview her multiple times now on my channel, talking about her recent books and about her thoughts about writing and reading in general. Do you have some books you'd like to share from your personal library?
Yeah, I'll go and see if I can find, and I should be able to find it easily, my copy of Alice in Wonderland that my grandmother gave to me when I was about 8 or 9 years old. So this is the great novel, the two novels of my life. And I have other books that are sort of filed in different parts of the house. But anyway, this is the original copy, and it's so old. I think it's like 1946.
It's beautiful old illustrations.
So the copy that my grandmother gave me. So I had more or less memorized elements. This is so important to me. The Mad Tea Party. For a little farm girl in upstate New York to be reading about these British people behaving very weirdly. And Alice, of course, is a little British girl.
It was such a wonderful thing, and I just loved doing this for the first time, although I was very nervous before speaking to her because it meant so much to me. And then the whole process, the only downside of that is the awkward process of technology and making sure both of our internet connections were strong enough at the time. And at that time, I was having slight problems with my internet connection, and so it did kind of slow down at some points, and so that was quite awkward. But the rest of it, that was such an amazing experience to be able to do that, and I was so happy to do that. But then another thing about the pandemic and looking back on videos of the recent past is recording footage around London through the pandemic, and so I made a single review video about this wonderful nonfiction book called Square Haunting, where I went to the actual square in central London that this book was talking about, and the different writers that had lived there. And so I made a journey into central London at the time when there was a rare snowstorm going on. Like, it doesn't snow all that much in London anymore, but it was on that day, and so which added to the whole eerie atmosphere of central London being basically deserted. There's an added pleasure of experiencing this text while traveling through the very streets that Woolf herself once walked through, and observing the people and the shop windows. And Woolf called this experience of observing a city while you're moving through it street haunting. So over the past several months of the pandemic, this sense of haunting has taken on a extra meaning, because whenever I travel to central London, it's been mostly deserted. I barely saw anybody while I was walking around the streets then, because everybody was just staying home still, and so. Yeah, I mean, this past Jubilee weekend, I mean, the city was so rammed and completely packed with people. That's an experience that I will never have again, of being able to walk around central London and it being almost completely deserted. And so I feel like this is almost like a time capsule of something that will probably not happen again, unless things go really wrong again. But yeah, that's a kind of fun thing about looking back on some of these videos too, that they are time capsules in this way. And I was aware of that at the time and wanted to capture it, because I'm like, wow, this is an experience which probably isn't going to occur again. Then there was a video I made earlier than that, which I feel is kind of like a landmark in any booktuber's online life of making their very own BookTube tag video, which it takes quite a lot of, I had to buck up the courage to actually do this, because there was all the nervousness of, is anybody actually going to do this tag, or am I just doing this on my own? Ooh, he is getting cocky now, making his own BookTube tag videos. Hey book buddies, I'm Eric from Lonesome Reader. I feel like being daring today, and I want to try out making my own tag video. I made a tag on future classics, or what we would project and think of as future classic books, because I always get really excited by this idea of thinking about living through the time period we are, and books that are being published now. I mean, maybe some of these books
will go on to become future classics, and in 100 years' time people might be studying them and reading them and thinking like, oh, what was it like to read this book for the very first time when it came out? You know, thinking back to like when Virginia Woolf was first publishing her books. I mean, imagine being one of the very first people to read a new Virginia Woolf book, and I think that must be happening now. There must be some books that, you know, might be lauded and people might see them as great books, but there might be other books which have slightly gone under the radar that people will be reading a century or multiple centuries from now, and thinking like, wow, this book is a really important piece of literature that has encapsulated the time period that it was written, in which it was written, but also captures something about the universal human experience and all of that. So yeah, it was really fun doing that tag video, and I was so happy to see so many people making videos and responding to the prompts that I gave. That was a really wonderful process. But then I've sort of inadvertently made some other tag videos, in that I've made a video about a particular subject, and then other booktubers have gone on to turn that video into a tag video. And that happened recently with when I made a video with Sarah from Hardcover Hearts when she came to London, and we made a video together just the other week talking about our top 5 English novels, and it was so wonderful and gratifying to see BookTuber went and turned that into a tag video, and now a number of people have made videos about their top 5 English novels, and that was so, I mean, it was so wonderful speaking with Sarah and having this wonderful long conversation about books with her, but also to see other people's responses to that and their own take on that. And because that's what this is all about, it's just a way of starting conversations about books and continuing to talk about books, because you know, you can see a book from so many different angles, and people have so many different personal responses to it, or different interpretations of it, or see new things in it, and make new like discoveries, and that adds to the reading process so much, and it's why I've continued to make videos on this channel, even though, you know, it has been slightly taxing and difficult at time, and it's definitely like a labor of love. It's not an easy thing to do. If you are a content creator, you know how much time and effort goes into it, but it's something that I find endlessly rewarding because of the interactions I have on here, and the book suggestions I get, and the comments about what I've read, which gives me a new perspective on what I've read. So yeah, it's been really wonderful making videos on this channel, and I hope to continue to do so. But like I said, I'd love to know your suggestions of videos you'd like to see me make, whether more videos of the same, of certain videos I've made in the past, or if there's new videos on a certain subject you'd like me to make, please let me know about that in the comments below. And yeah, thank you for watching me go on this self-indulgent journey into the past 6 years of my making videos. But I hope you're doing well and reading good things, and I will speak to you again soon. Bye bye.